Welcome to Talking Giants presented by DraftKings, and it feels good to be back from the bye week and getting ready for Giants football. In fact, I've kind of forgot what Giants football feels like. I've missed it. I've missed talking to you guys. I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in a long time here with our live chat. Justin, how you doing? Getting ready for another Monday night showdown, the last primetime game of the year besides the playoffs.
Yes, this is so true. Road to 9-8. It's going to start against the Tampa Bay Bucs. Bye week was really long. Really long bye week. Almost, it does feel like 2 weeks. It really does almost feel like 2 weeks. Win. Yeah, well, yes. I'm glad that we did win. Road to 9-8 could still lose on Monday night and could still go 9-8 to finish the season. So I'm excited. Bobby Skinner, I'm excited for you. You're going to be at the next 2 Giants games. When was the last? Has there ever been a time in your life where you went to 2 consecutive Giants games in a row?
I've only been to 2 Giants games in my life. They've both been versus Miami Dolphins, so 2 Florida teams.
Bam.
So one in Jersey. I'm 2-0 though. So if we win, just lock in the Eagles game. So I'm very excited for that. Let me know where to go tailgate wise, people. Let me know. I'm sure I'll be down there. And there'll be people down there. So I'm excited. But we'll talk about that more in the weekend. Justin, we got a Bucs game to preview. Before we get into the preview, before we get into some of the sponsors of the show, it looks like Andrew Thomas is going to play. Like right now, on Wednesday, I didn't feel like he was going to play because all the beat was making it seem like he wasn't. Thursday, now it seems like he is going to play, and they activated him from, or gave him, opened the 21-day window. And that really, Justin, changes everything. Because Daniel Jones is a different quarterback when he has his left tackle. And more importantly, Jason Garrett's a different offensive coordinator when he has Andrew Thomas as his left tackle. Where when Andrew Thomas is in there, they roll, they crawl into a ball and they try and run the ball and throw 3-yard passes consistently. Where with at least when Andrew Thomas is in there, they let their guys make some plays.
Yeah, Jason Garrett, when he was talking to the media on Thursday, usually when Jason Garrett talks to the media, he doesn't really tell much, doesn't really say much of much significance. But when he was talking about Andrew Thomas, it was one of those things of, I think they were asking about significant pieces for the future on the offensive line, and the only guy that he listed was Andrew Thomas, and he said some other glowing things about Andrew Thomas, which kind of backs up. It's like, yeah, what we've been saying is not Kenny Golladay, not Kadarius Toney, not Saquon Barkley. What's riding on the Giants' offense in terms of their approach to a game being aggressive versus not aggressive, and I say aggressive with an asterisk because even the Giants at their most aggressive is not super aggressive, but the Giants kind of opening it up versus just being super ultra conservative and being a pop Warner offense. The difference is Andrew Thomas and not really any other player on the offense besides whether you have your starting quarterback or not.
Yeah, and again, Andrew Thomas being in makes me feel better about Jason Garrett than it really does Daniel Jones. It's because I don't think we have a shot, especially against this Bucs team that leads the league in blitz rate. Even though I do think they should incorporate still some of the Panthers' game plan into this, not go crazy because you do have Andrew Thomas, you do have your weapons. But I do think versus this blitzing team, you should try and compensate a little bit. Especially they have a weak secondary, and we'll get into all of that. Before we get into it, Justin, this episode was brought to you by some special people, and we haven't announced them in a little bit. And my phone is reloading. By the way, John Gleason, who's a Patreon member, and I remember that because I remember making the joke about Gleason Park and Indian Harbor Beach. He won the Giants Fan of the Year, and he's a Patreon. So we are 1 for 1 on Patreon members being the Giants Fan of the Year. So congrats, John Gleason. This episode was brought to you by Mr. Skunt. First name Lou. Very funny guy this man is, Mr. Skunt. Jaden Meadows. We got Abdul Steiner 19er. Speaking of Indian Harbor Beach, the Pensacola, who's also a Patreon, his uncle is like city council there, was our baseball coach. His nephew, his stepson is Michael Stein, so I think of Abdul Steiner 19er. Anson Wind. By the way, both those guys are $10 tiers, and I just added an extra raffle for the $10 tier. They get their own raffle for t-shirts, so we get a third t-shirt raffle. And then Timothy Manasseh. Justin, who are these Satellite Beach residents?
Wow, all these people, and also I want to extend my congratulations to John Gleason. Saw that Zoom video, that little Zoom conversation they had with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones actually sounded like a normal human being, and he was laughing a little bit, and he wasn't stuttering so much. So pretty cool for John to have that convo with Daniel Jones about being a Giants fan and stuff like that. So congrats to him. But all those people, they went to patreon.com/talkinggiants, $2 a month plus some other tiers. become a Patreon member, because there's a good chance that you add that onto your resume, you might be Giants Fan of the Year. Patreon.com/TalkingGiants. Thank you to our patrons.
All right, so Andrew Thomas is back. But I do think, Justin, that we should incorporate some of the sprint out, rollout type things. One, because of who the Bucs are. They're a heavy, again, they blitz the most in the NFL right now, 40%. But they also have a weak secondary. So that that gives you yak opportunities with guys like Kadarius Toney. Where I feel like that Panthers game plan becomes much more effective when you have a guy like Kadarius getting yak. And against a weaker secondary, and what Tampa has, they already weren't amazing, but they're banged up with guys like Carlton Davis probably out.
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
This Bucs team is not all that different from last year, both offensively and defensively. They've had guys like Joe Tryon, Jason Pierre-Paul's a little banged up, having a down year, but he's playing through it. This is the first week that he was actually back practicing, but he's played through. I think he broke his finger. He did something else, maybe something with the rotator cuff. I have no clue. But he's been playing through a lot of injuries. But the Bucs team is relatively the same, and same coaching staff, same philosophy. But we look back on 2020 saying that was one of Jason Garrett's best play called games, but Daniel Jones's worst game from the 2020 season. So, Bobby, my question to you is, what made Daniel Jones's game so bad last year, and what made the game plan from Jason Garrett so good last year at home, Monday Night Football, around the same time period last year?
Well, they blitz like hell, and they play man coverage, which gives you opportunities down the field if you're able to protect. And remember, Andrew Thomas, that was the first game he really stepped up outside the Pittsburgh game last season. So it's double moves. And what made Daniel Jones bad in that game is he missed on some, but a couple times the blitz did get to him, and he didn't he kind of diagnosed what the coverage was, and he just threw ducks up while he was being tackled, which is we can't have those type of plays, Daniel Jones. You're going to miss guys that are open every once in a while down the field. It happens to every QB. But what you can't have is those dumb turnovers. So, again, taking shots downfield, trusting your protection. Because guess what? When they're sending guys, that means they don't have good coverage on the back end. And it's not like they're playing with a really good cornerback group where they can get away with that like the Ravens have in the past, where they can trust their guys manned up. So they're going to throw a bunch of different looks at you. They're going to throw zone blitzes, but they're going to blitz a ton. They've done it the last 2 years versus Daniel Jones, and they're going to stop the run. And Vita Vea being out is going to make them less good versus the run, but they are the second best run defense in the NFL, yards and yards per carry. So I would not go into this game trying to run the ball really. And, obviously they're not going to just totally abandon the run. You're still going to have to hand the ball off here and there. But they should not go into this game attacking it. That's where it should be different from the Panthers game. It's you shouldn't be trying to get as many carries as you can. And definitely different from the Raiders game where they ran the ball more times than they threw it. Because you're going to stall out drives or not even let drives get started by doing that. You can really only do it on those second and short, third and shorts when you have a favorable front. Or when it's hey, we only need 2 yards. So first and 10 runs, and I know analytics and stuff like that talks about those in general, but this week more than else, because the Giants it'd be one thing if we were the Titans, it's hey, we're going to do what we do well. But we're not. We're one of the worst running teams in the NFL. Despite that, we had a good running game versus the Raiders, who are one of the worst run defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, and even though the Giants, relatively for the good part of the season, they were one of the teams that have thrown the ball the most on early downs, on first and second downs. They still got to perform better. I mean, even though they have been throwing the ball on early downs, they're still their early down efficiency is still not good. So even though that's why analytics is, just because analytics says to throw the ball on first down doesn't mean that you're going to be good on first down. You got to be efficient. You got to complete the ball, and you gotta produce those 6, 7, 8 yards to put yourself in a positive position on second downs on a consistent basis. So that's what the Giants have to do.
Yeah, so, do some of those sprint out things that you did versus the Panthers, rollouts, bootlegs, but also, do your max protects versus this team, because you're going to be max protecting and they're going to have less guys in coverage. Where the times when the max protects don't work great is when they rush 4 and they've got all those zones covered really well. And now that you got Kenny Galladay and Toney, even when those are covered well, those guys can get open versus them on double moves the way other receivers can't. But also, like they did last year, there's going to be times hey, they're going to blitz, put that running backs, you're going to have to block for a second and a half. We're going to have to trust our offensive line. We're going to have to say, hey, Hernandez, Parrott, you got to wash them around the edge. Thomas, you got to hold strong, and we're gonna have to sit in there and throw the ball downfield, and realize Jones is gonna get hit a couple times. There's gonna be a time where the protection does break down, and there will be a sack. Where it's like, hey, that's how we're gonna win this game, is by throwing the ball downfield. Which, if there was a game where I thought, just from the eye test, not even numbers wise, Garrett was the most aggressive last year, it was this Bucs team. And it wasn't like you had the confidence in Andrew Thomas. You were coming off of his worst game of his career with Andrew Thomas. Like, that was coming off of the Eagles game. That was the worst game of Andrew Thomas's career, was that Thursday Night Football Eagles game. But you trusted that protection up front to hold up, to get those throws downfield. But Jones has to connect on them this year.
Yeah, and Saquon's likely to be back too for this Giants offense.
Use him in the passing game. I don't think he's going to get too involved in the running game. Put him out wide.
Well, one of the things that I'm hoping for, since the Bucs are pretty blitz heavy, now if they play man coverage and if they have a safety like Antoine Winfield that's just going to come down and scream down and tackle him as soon as he makes a catch, then that's a mincemeat point. But, if there's nobody accounting for a running back, those little, I don't even want to call them screens, but just those little dump-offs that, if things break down, and then, Booker had it was a big 40-yard gain against the Chiefs where Booker catches a ball in the middle of the field, and then boom, he goes for 40 yards. And Saquon caught a few of those balls too before he got hurt, where it seems like they're finding something with that kind of, just the running back is just, hey, I'm going to be here in space, just throwing me the ball if everything kind of breaks down. So, if there's, these cover zero blitzes that Tampa's going to be running, have the running back just hanging out. And hey, just a dump off option, and if he can get yards after the catch that way, plays like that serve as like an extension of the running game. So that would work out well too.
You said, don't bet on them running the ball well. Maybe they'll spring one, but don't bet on the Giants run. Like, this coaching staff can't go into this game thinking we're going to run the ball well. Like, that would be, know what your personnel is, know their personnel. That would be reckless for them to do that. But Saquon is a talent that can change a game. Use him in the receiving game, like you said, in those checkdowns. Do stuff like you did versus Saints, where you got Saquon out wide, clearing out. Hell, and if Jones threw an accurate ball versus the Cowboys, Saquon maybe gets a big chunk out of that play and doesn't sprain his ankle. So do stuff like that, like you were doing after the Saints game. So yeah, and then obviously, their bad coverage, good pass rush, get Tony involved. Don't just Tony, he just didn't get involved. Like, there was, after that last game, there was Tony only got one target, and there was there was 3 times where Jones could have hit him. Only one time they should have hit him, and Jones ended up scrambling for 5 yards. The other 2 weren't supposed to go to him. So make him the focal point of a play. Put him on the first, second, or third man of the progression, not the 4th or 5th like it was in those plays versus the Raiders.
Yep. So don't expect the running game to work very well. Saquon will be back, and he's usually a guy that this is just the way that the course of his career has gone. Whenever he comes back from an injury, he usually needs some time to ramp up. But if you can get him an open space as a receiver, then maybe he gets some of his confidence back, and he can get some of those reps in as a receiver and get some of those reps with the ball in his hands as a receiver. Would love to see that. Don't force feed him the ball, because odds are you're not going to run the ball against this Tampa Bay defense, and Saquon's going to need time to ramp back up anyway. Hey, I would love to repeat that game plan, Jason Garrett, last year, but I don't want to repeat the game plan. I don't want to repeat the game performance from Daniel Jones Monday Night Football last year. So that's all that I got on this Giants offense, Bobby.
What does your shirt say? Homeboy something?
Homeboy Industries. What
is that?
It's Father Greg Boyle runs like a gang rehabilitation. I don't want to say it's a rehabilitation service, but he takes in former gang members in Skid Row in Los Angeles and gives them the opportunity to kind of change their life around, tattoo removal services, and gives them jobs and all that kind of stuff. So
how'd you get that shirt?
I bought it.
Is he on TV or something?
No, he has a couple books. Tattoos on the Heart. Is one of them. Father Greg Boyle is one of the most famous Jesuits in the world. So,
I like that, homeboy. All right, let's talk about the Bucs offense. Number 1 passing offense in the NFL, and that is because they have Tom Brady and some really good weapons, and they throw the ball a lot. Justin, like, they are trying to move the ball by passing it. Like, they have an efficient run game. They just don't run it. So they're like bottom of the league in total rushing, but like yards per attempt, they're good.
Yeah, one thing, they have the highest pass rate in the NFL, and even though, like you said, they barely run the ball, their rushing offense is still 6th in DVOA. So they're the 6th most efficient rushing offense in the NFL, despite them running it the least in the National Football League.
We got a comment saying, sounds like a rehab Justin, and then someone said, Justin used to be a blood. You're a Crip, though, because, blue.
No comment.
All right, let's see.
You have some injuries
on
the offensive side of the ball.
I was trying to make a blood joke and call it, Briss Godwin instead of saying Chris Godwin.
I was ready to move on from that.
All right, but so they're passing. So I don't know if Antonio Brown or Gronk is going to play.
I would say no.
I wish we had done the interview before this, because then I could get a better idea with the interview with Greg Allman. But you'll find out. I guess you'll get a better idea in the interview in about 10 minutes. But let's say that they don't. Mike Evans is their number one wide receiver right now, but Chris Godwin's getting more yards than Mike Evans.
Yeah,
he's averaging 10, 15 yards more per game. Godwin has 717 yards and 57 catches on the year, where Evans has 41 for 606. Now Evans has 5 more touchdown catches, but it's interesting to see how that plays out. I'm expecting Adore on Godwin and Bradbury on Evans anyways. Bradbury's has been playing against Mike Evans for the last 4 years. He's had up and down performances. Probably his worst game of the year last year was against Evans, and it wasn't even a terrible game either. So that kind of speaks to how Bradbury played what last year. But I would expect that to be the matchup. But I really think if Adore, who's been balling, he was having a good season anyways, but the last few weeks he's just been on point. If he can mess with Godwin and really get him out of his game, that can really have Tom Brady banging his helmet on the ground again versus us.
Yeah, absolutely. We want the more physical cornerback in Bradbury playing against Evans. I want Adoree Jackson now. Godwin's largely the slot wide receiver. I wonder
when
if
Antonio Brown's in, he's a slot receiver, but
okay.
Godwin, they move inside and out. They've been playing Tyler Johnson and Jalen Darden a little bit, but Darden I think might be on the doghouse because he had a drop turn into an interception last week, and he's just kind of really fast. He's not like a good route runner or anything. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. But I mean, Brady should possibly be the MVP this year now. He's completing 67%. 300 again, leading 323 yards per game, which is leading the NFL. 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That being said, 4 of his 7 interceptions have been the last 2 games. Now, one of those was popped up by Darden last week, but the other 3 were on Tom Brady. So, Patrick Graham had success. Patrick Graham has had success against Tom Brady in general. Even going back to Miami, week 17 of 2019. The Dolphins won that game. It was off the back of their defense. Last year, they had success versus them. It's going to be interesting to see how this matchup goes. Obviously, there's a lot of familiarity with the coach, with Patrick Graham and Joe Judge and Tom Brady.
Yeah, weeks 1 through 6, the Giants defense, they were ran on 46% of plays, and that was the 6th highest run rate through that time span. Weeks 1 through 6, 46%, 6th highest run rate in the National Football League. Weeks 7 through 9, they were passed on 69% of the times. That was the 2nd highest pass rate through that span in the NFL. So when the Giants defense has kind of turned on, and when they've kind of changed the narrative surrounding them, throughout the season, it's been when teams have been throwing the ball versus when teams have committed to the run in weeks 1 through 6. That's when the Giants defense that's when they struggled the most. So, what's going to be the approach and what's going to be the game plan? Now that the Giants had their bye week, and I think teams can kind of look back on the first half of their season. I'm sure Bruce Arians is a guy that's I love to stretch the ball down the field, but historically he has been a guy that's also liked to run the ball a little bit too. So is he looking at those trends saying, should we run the ball more against this Giants defense versus having such a high pass rate? Because we know that the Giants, they like to clamp down inside the red zone. And they've been the best when teams have been throwing the ball more throughout these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, but Bruce and Todd Bowles too, those are 2 coaches who are like, hey, we do what we do. This is our identity. Yeah. This is what we do. So I think kind of Tampa's game plan kind of plays into what the Giants defense is good at. Now, they were a really good offense, so I'm not sitting here saying we're going to shut down them, but I feel like it's a strength versus strength. And even you mentioned the running game. The Bucs don't really run outside the tackles a ton. And it's not like when they do, they're not great at it. They have Leonard Fournette, Bernard. They've been using a little bit in the receiving game. Fournette's been a good runner this year. He's actually been pretty involved in the receiving game.
He is.
A bit too.
He's had a couple 8-catch games in there. So
yeah, I got him on fantasy. So how
look
about that?
Look out for that, by the way, because Tampa Bay, they like to stretch the field. So look out, because you saw it against Kansas City. Look out for those running backs, and Tom Brady just checking it down. It's like, hey, if you want to give our running backs 10 yards of separation and they could pick up 7-8 yards per play, we're going to do that. We're going to take what the defense gives you. I think Tom Brady, what makes Tom Brady different from a guy like Patrick Mahomes is Mahomes needs to learn to take the check down more consistently and take the check down quicker. Tom Brady's going to look at it and be like, hey, if you're running, the too high, and if you're turning it into cover 3 and there's nothing for me deep, I'm going to, check it down to a tight end, check it down to a running back. So, and that's where a guy like Fournette can do good, because he's a powerful guy and he's going to get the yards after contact. So,
all right, anything else we want to hit on?
No. I'm looking forward to this game. I really am. I feel weird because I feel like teams usually don't do well off the bye. I mean, I'm not even saying the Giants don't do well off the bye, because the Giants haven't done well at all the past couple years, but I just feel like teams after a bye historically don't do well, and that's just a feeling. So hope we can come out and play well.
Well, guys, speaking of bye, Thanksgiving's coming up. I love Thanksgiving. In fact, we'll be recording this episode on Thanksgiving morning next week. So how about that? Guys, and speaking of Thanksgiving, the leading men's hygiene brand Manscaped just launched a new product, including their all-new Ultra Premium Body Wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Well, how about that? That's all types of new stuff. It's time to give yourself or someone else who needs it the Thanksgiving gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this Thanksgiving season. Go to manscaped.com and use code GIANTS for 20% off plus free shipping. Wow. Turkey balls. Untrimmed pubes are a thing of the past, and it's possible you have a turkey's beard in your pants. See, we got to tell Manscaped that I don't do the whole Xmas stuff, so I'm just replacing all the Xmas stuff with Thanksgiving stuff. Sure. It's time to leave your significant other some turkey and cranberry sauce at the bottom of your deep fried thing. I love watching the deep fried things turn into fire videos every year. I know it's bad and it ruins houses and stuff, but it's always
deep fry. What are you talking about?
When you deep fry the turkey in the oil and people put it in too fast and the oil spills over and it starts a huge fire.
For a second, I thought you were gonna say leave some cranberry sauce like by your balls, and I was like, oh, that's
is not a bad for the lady in your life. Do that, but the thing is you have to be trimmed up with Manscaped because you don't want to get any hair in it. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer has a proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to reduce cuts on your nuts. Oh, wow, that's actually a good line for them. It's also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. It's like a gift to your partner with less. Here's a little testimonial. So we always talked about it's good in the shower, and I've never done it, though, because I've been afraid. I finally brought one of it, because I have two. I brought one into the shower, and it's like I just, I have overcome my fear of being shocked, and I didn't get shocked. So good.
Wow.
So it's not a lie. The hygiene bundle will also come with a pair of Manscaped anti-chafing boxers that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day. The perfect package for your perfect package. Wow, they've got everything. Get the body wash, the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Keep you hydrated, nourished, condition the scalp, plus strengthen your hair at the same time, guys. It's Thanksgiving. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GIANTS at Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code GIANTS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code GIANTS. Clean up your nuts and make the Thanksgiving turkey, make the Detroit Lions proud this year. Now I'm getting excited for Thanksgiving. All right, here is Greg Allman of The Athletic. All right, we now welcome back onto the show. He just came on last year for our Bucs preview. Greg Auman of The Athletic covers the Bucs for The Athletic. We know The Athletic does good stuff. Dan Duggan, good friend of the show. Greg, where are the Bucs? Like for you guys facing the Giants, now you've seen Daniel Jones 2 years in a row, and you saw maybe the highest moment, not his best game, but the highest moment, which was his first game, and then his lowest moment on Monday Night Football last year. What do the Bucs coming off of 2 losses view the Giants as right now?
I mean, the last 4 years these two teams have played, the games have been decided by a total of 8 points. So, I mean, they've played each other tight, no matter where it's played, no matter what the records are coming in, especially coming off of a loss to a 2-6 Washington team. This is one they're going to take, very seriously. Daniel Jones, like you said, rookie year. I think he had 4 touchdowns, like ran for 2, threw for 2. Last year was absolutely an escape for the Bucs in that they kind of needed a flag pulled on a 2-point conversion at the last minute to get out of that one. So no, this is not one they can take lightly. They've lost 2 in a row. They're kind of trying to get things back on track. They've been a much, much better team. I think that definitely is a big thing that helps for them in this game.
So the biggest unknown for us going into this game, because we've seen a lot of Bucs games. I'm down here in Florida, so I'm kind of plugged into the Bucs a little bit. Is AB, Antonio Brown, and Gronk have been out. I saw Antonio Brown was still in the injury report, and then Gronk was a full participant. What's the feeling like? Are both those guys going to play, or is just Gronk going to play? Because right now, from the outside in, we kind of have no clue.
I have no expectation of Antonio yet to do really any kind of extensive running or anything like that. We saw Jug machine before practice today. Rob Gronkowski looks promising. I mean, they listed him as a full participant today. Was out there, kind of full go. They had tried to bring him back, 3 weeks ago for the Saints game, and he only played about 6 snaps. Just kind of it didn't take. He wasn't ready yet. So I mean, he had a ribs injury. He kind of had back spasms that came from that. He's had a lot of issues with back problems. Pretty much retired because of them a couple of years ago. So they're trying to be safe, but it is really encouraging for him to be a full participant. And, if that goes well and he's that way again tomorrow, Saturday, those all bode well for Monday.
Yeah, I know he had been a huge red zone. I think he had 4 touchdowns in the first 2, or maybe 5 in the first 3 games. I remember he was scoring a lot of points. The other 2, the Bucs are loaded with weapons. The other 2 weapons are Godwin and Evans has always been their traditional one. But you look at the numbers, and Evans has 5 more touchdowns, but Godwin has like 15 more catches and 100 so yards. What is that dynamic like right now? Is it simple? Is it like still Evans is the one, but Brady spreads it around, and Godwin's been the recipient of like CB2 coverage?
Yeah, it's tricky in that, there's people that argue that Antonio Brown is the one when he's healthy. So they really have 3 receivers that both can make a case for it. I think Mike Evans, most importantly, is probably drawing most teams' top corner and the most attention defensively. And as a result, they've kind of gone to him less. He has exactly 2 catches in 3 of the last 4 games. You go to Sunday at Washington. Both of his catches Sunday led to points, a field goal and then a 40-yard touchdown, but that's all he had. Brady kind of is a guy that will throw to whoever's open, and more often than not, that's been Godwin right now. So I in terms of who's the one or who's the 2, Evans is probably the one just because he's the one that draws the most attention defensively. But, Godwin is also having Pro Bowl type season in terms of, he's on pace for what would be a team record in catches, a career high in yards, like 1,400 receiving yards. He only has 4 touchdowns, so not as many as Mike, but he's been a really crucial part of that as well. When they get AB back, having all 3 of them really, really helps them create some mismatches in that pass game.
And the guy who makes it all happen is Tom Brady. He's leading the league in passing yards per game, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think he'll probably end up being the MVP this season. When you see some of the other guys who were up there are struggling as well, but he does have 7 interceptions. 4 of those have come in the last 2 games. Has it been just, hey, that's just what it's just been the past 2 games kind of thing? Or do you think it's like, teams catching up on the offense and they got to restructure? Because, I know last year it was kind of like start out hot, was kind of in a rough patch in the middle and then figured it back out. Is it kind of the same cycle almost?
Yeah, it could be. They definitely, they lost 3 out of 4 at one stretch. They are a little later than this in the year. But, Brady's had, his second interception against New Orleans was a bad throw, just overthrew Mike Evans. Against Washington was a bad throw. For him to have 4 picks in 2 games is a lot for him. So, some of that I think is having no Gronkowski, having no AB, kind of limited personnel. I think he's been very careful for the most part. He went literally like 200 attempts at one point without a pick. But again, if he has to press a little bit, there's probably a couple games in a row that have probably been tighter than expected. Certainly, Washington to be down 13-0 in that game. They dug the hole for themselves there. But no, I think that's something where, Brady's going to have lapses like that. But for the most part, he's been really clean this year.
Yeah, I was watching the Washington game, and I think one was off of Darden. Darden's hands.
Yeah.
Defensively, it's we talked about the matchups the past years. We've gotten to know Todd Bowles pretty well in the way he calls a game. And I think everyone knows how Todd Bowles calls a game at this point. How are they stopping the run though? Because we know they're going to blitz heavy. Like, is it just like, hey, I know Vita Vea is probably going to be out. Is it like those guys just winning their matchups, or is it like, hey, they're making a conceited effort to force you into throwing?
Yeah, I mean, they've been the NFL's number one run defense each of the last 2 years. I think they were number one until this past week. I think New Orleans just passed them where they're number two. Vita Vea is a big part of that. So, I mean, them being without him Monday night adds some vulnerability, especially if Barkley can go. But no, they take a lot of pride in taking away the run and kind of making opponents one-dimensional, even if that means, some of the best guys that they've faced this season, But I think for them, it's not one person. I mean, I think Sue's a big part of it. I think Will Golston's a big part of it. Their linebackers are a big part of it. They'll want to do that, fairly. I mean, I guess that's probably their biggest priority, especially against a team like Barkley. I think they respect Daniel Jones, but they want to take away the run as a first step.
Right. So, I mean, we know JPP, we know Shaq Barrett. How's we learned about players in the draft. A guy I like was Joe Tryon. I know JPP's been battling injuries and playing, but how does he look right now? Because we know obviously the Giants have a really banged up and bad offensive line in general. What does Tryon bring into the table?
Yeah, I mean, he's got 3 sacks. He had a touch sack Sunday in Washington. Had played a lot when JPP was out. He, I think snap wise, he's been getting less and less snaps lately. I think he had like 17 snaps Sunday. Even with JPP having a torn rotator cuff and a fractured finger, they lean on him and Shaq Barrett a lot. So I'll be curious to see what the rotation is. JPP has practiced twice this week. He really wasn't practicing at all during the week for about a month there. So maybe he's feeling a little better. That might help things there. But Tryon's a guy they rotate in as kind of the third pass rusher. And like I said, he's had some success in 3 sacks for a rookie. It's not leading the league by any measure, but it's a solid, half season so far for him.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at you guys their sack numbers, and they're pretty spread out evenly, and it's not like one guy dominating. Obviously, Barrett at the top of the list. So, I mean, if I describe the Giants as a team with a weak offensive line, and then Andrew Thomas maybe coming back, who's been playing really well, but I still don't expect him to put a lot of trust in their offensive line anyway. So the Giants understand that they game plan around that, have some good wide receivers, some yak guys, and Tony and Saquon going to be back, and then Jones, who's mobile and fairly accurate. What do you think? What has been like the way to be successful against the Bucs? Because I know they have a beat up secondary.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely starts with turnovers. I mean, they had 2 early ones against Washington. They had 3 turnovers from Brady against New Orleans. So, I mean, I think that's definitely where it starts. That's a vulnerability. I want to say the Giants are at the exact same spot in turnover margin that the Bucs are. It's like +3 right now. So that has to be where it starts. I mean, they have to play a clean game. Daniel Jones has looked a lot more mobile against the Bucs than against most teams. So I think they have to be ready to account for him. Their speed at receiver in terms of the depth of their receiving group probably creates some problems if the Bucs are as unhealthy as they look to be at corner. I mean, Bucs have 4 corners on injured reserve right now. There's a 5th who's in concussion protocol. They might get one back for Monday night in Sean Murphy-Bunting, who's been out since literally the first quarter of the season opener. But they're depleted there. So, I mean, guys like Tony, guys like Slayton, they've struggled probably more than expected to handle speed at receiver. Jamel Dean is on one side. He's a solid corner. But right now, I mean, Carlton Davis is hurt. Richard Sherman is hurt. If Murphy-Bunting didn't come back, they'd be looking at a guy like Pierre Desir starting at corner and kind of having to play the entire game. So that's a vulnerability. That's something that other teams have had success going after.
And, we know we got our good friend Ross Cockrell, who we almost re-signed last year, and then the Bucs picked him up, which I remember when we almost did. If a fun fact, if you want, I'll let you steal from me. Daniel Jones and him both went to Duke. Both also went to Charlotte Latin High School in Charlotte, obviously, too. So there's a little connection there. Greg, where can people find you?
Yeah, just on Twitter at my name, Greg Auman, GregAuman. Everything I write is at theathletic.com. We'll have some really good deals if you're not a subscriber already. I think Monday starts kind of the Black Friday special. I don't know exactly what that'll be, but every year that's kind of one of our best sales for new subscribers. But thanks again for having me on. Really appreciate it.
No doubt. Our listeners, a lot of them have Athletic scholarships, have athletic subscriptions already, so they can get ready for the Bucs game with some of your coverage. Greg, appreciate it always, and maybe we'll see you again next year.
All right, man. Thanks again. Enjoy the game on Monday.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And look who I got with me. The man, the myth, the legend. We're 2-1, right? Danny King, we're 2-1 with Mikey the puppy making appearances on the show.
He's the powerhouse.
Well, we actually sacrificed him, but this is the ghost of Mikey the puppy. I think we went 1-1, lost to the Chiefs.
2-1 with the dog, because the Panthers win was with the dog, and then we lost to the Chiefs. So
he was 1-0, and then 1-1 and 2-1. So now we'll see if we're gonna get that record back to 500. But look, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Mikey the puppy isn't perfect, right? Say nothing if you're not perfect. And I also want you to say nothing again. No, you're not. Your name's not Mikey. Your name is Bobby.
Well, but I'm saying I'm perfect, so I had to say something.
Oh, good.
Understandable.
Say nothing, though. Everybody, including Mikey, say nothing if Roman is one of the best providers and best solutions for ED and erectile dysfunction. Say nothing. Great. So we're all on the same page.
You have a perfect pecker.
Wow. Nobody has a perfect pecker. Nobody has a perfect pecker, and actually, it's 52% of men between the ages of 40 and 70 that will experience some form of erectile dysfunction. So when the moment for intimacy arrives, you need to be ready, Roman ready, especially when we're approaching this holiday season, Thanksgiving, big time. If you have a big meal that day, but you want to get a little intimate at night, you got to make sure that you're Roman ready, whether you've been in a relationship for years or you're just getting started.
With cranberries on your nuts.
With cranberries on your nuts. We did talk about that earlier. Having the confidence that comes from preparation means you're free to enjoy the moment when the moment comes. Cranberry sauce. After you take Roman. Danny King, you're going to be doing that, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Even if you're far from the ordinary, like if you like putting cranberry sauce on your nuts, the truth is that ED is really common. What I want you to do is I want you to go to getroman.com/JohnBoy now to speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about erectile dysfunction and get $15 off your first month of treatment. I did it again. I said erectile dysfunction instead of erectile dysfunction. That is getroman.com/JohnBoy now to speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about erectile dysfunction and get $15 off your first month of treatment. Thank you so much to Roman. Make sure that you're ready to have the confidence and control this fall. Be Roman ready.
Hell yeah. Let's get Roman ready. You need it, this time of year. So let's get
Coffin season, people.
Get Roman. Get Roman. Even if it's not cuffing season, it might even need a more for uncuffing season.
Hey.
Cuffing
a little
or
too much
coughing?
whiskey, you need the Roman.
Cuffing or coughing season?
Coffin.
All three.
Yeah, hey, it's still coffin season.
It's Roman season, is what it is.
Roman season, there it is.
And speaking of the seasons, we bring in our weatherman, who's back home, so we're recording a little later. But it feels good. I'll tell you what. The colder it gets, it's like the deeper we get into the season, where it's like I like this show the most, the preview show, because it's like as we got a team together. So what's the leather like in Tampa? I'm gonna be there, so better get this freaking weather right.
Yeah, I got a lot riding on. Whether it's just casually over an hour late, that's what you love to see. Kickoff, it's going to be overcast at Raymond James Stadium in that Tampa of Florida. 66 degrees. Somehow it feels like it's going to be higher than the actual temperature. That's always fun. Humidity, 87%. Oh, my Lord, Florida, get your act together. Winds, 14 miles per hour. That's interesting. A little 14 mile per hour wind, so it's going to be windy, but humid. That's interesting. It looks like no chance of rain for the game. You're just going to have to deal with some overcast and mostly cloudy skies for Monday's game in Tampa.
I'm trying to hit those West Coast beaches on Monday, so hopefully the weather's nice enough to get in that water. It's so much clearer on the West Coast. All right, we're back. Haven't done the show in a couple weeks. We do our fantasy draft where we pick from the two teams that are playing, the Giants and the Bucs. Justin will be picking first. He's in last place, although he did win our last matchup. He had 47.4 points. He's 71 points back from the lead. I'm in first. I'll be picking second. I have 366.1. I had a 24-point outing last time. And then Danny's in second. Danny, you're 11 points back right now. You're at 355 points. You are 11 points back. So you could take the lead.
Slowly but surely.
And Justin is, Justin's chipping away a little bit. He's not winning every week, but he's chipping away. Like he's still 71 points back. You're still in it. You have one big week, and you're right back in the mix of it. So, Justin, trying to get back in the mix. Who was your first pick this week?
I have been going back and forth on this all day.
This is not a fun week to do it.
All day I've been going back and forth on this. And between two guys, surprise, Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's got to be the number one pick. He didn't play last year against the Giants. So he didn't play. So that's kind of a little bit of a wild card about, Evans played, Gronk played. Both of those guys had a touchdown catch last year. Chris Godwin did not play. But really, I look at what the Giants, I look at what Leonard Fournette did last year against the Giants, which was 55 yards, only one catch. And I look at what Tyreek Hill did against us a couple weeks ago. Where Tyreek Hill, I wouldn't say it was, he didn't break the game open for the Chiefs, but he had a really, really good fantasy day. So I'm looking for Chris Godwin to put up a Tyreek Hill type performance. I hope he doesn't, but for fantasy purposes, that's my line of thinking with picking him number one. Very, very tough number one pick this week.
I actually had him fifth on the big board because I think Adore is going to shut his ass down.
Really?
Yes. So I'm going...
If Antonio Brown doesn't play, I think Chris Godwin lines up in the slot. Then you have Tyler Johnson on the outside.
I still think they try to get Adore on Chris Godwin as much as possible. So first on my big board is Mike Evans. But then I think about the Bradbury matchup. And, they battled each other many times over the past 3-4 years. Mm-hmm. Tony is second on my big board. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The touchdown drought is ending for Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay is scoring a touchdown this week. I feel good about it. I really do. I think Kenny Golladay is going to have a big game. I think Kenny Golladay is going to have a big game, and they realize, hey, we got to get this guy more involved. He's a really good wide receiver. And you know what? They're going to blitz a ton, and that means there's going to be options for Kenny Golladay. I'm going Kenny Golladay. I'm not staying true to the big board. I'm going with my gut this week. Kenny Golladay. Danny.
That's rather unfortunate. I was really hoping you wouldn't do that. I was like, I'm going to get Kenny Golladay. I'm going to look like a genius. It's going to be money moves only this week. Fortunately, that's not the case. I'm going to have to take Mike Evans. Obviously, the history is not on Evans' side when he goes up against Bradbury. But I'm going to have to ride Mike Evans. I feel he can make plays. He could get the job done over there for Tampa. And then the second pick, this is where it's fun. Do I go Barkley? Do I believe he'll play Monday? That's where it looks like it's leaning. But I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to go Barkley. I'm going to go with my gut. So Kenny Golladay wasn't used against the Raiders. You would think he's going to be used this week against the Bucs. And you would think Kadarius Toney will be used against the Bucs as well, because the Bucs secondary is Bucs secondary. It doesn't scare me. I think I'm gonna rock Kadarius Toney this week. I'm gonna have no choice. I'm gonna ride Kadarius. I would have taken Booker, or I would have, but Barkley coming back kind of scares me. Not scares me, but I just don't. I don't know. Barkley's got me weird vibes with Barkley, so give me Mike Evans and Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, they're just not gonna let them run the ball this week. I'm gonna go Leonard Fournette. They use him a decent amount. Even in the receiving game, I actually have him on my real fantasy team, and he's been a must start every week. So I'm going with the Bucs starting running back and Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, I really thought that. Bobby, you said Evans was number one on your big board, so you're a guy that loves to stay true to your big board. And I'm gonna wind up getting the two guys that I contemplated taking pick number one. I'm gonna get them with my first two picks, which would be insane. Chris Godwin is the number 9 wide receiver in fantasy football, and I think Leonard Fournette is the 13th running back in fantasy football right now. So because of that, Tony's already gone.
What is this dog doing?
I have no clue. He's looking at the computer.
Mikey's looking us dead in the eye. What's up, cuz?
Oh, jeez, look at this. This is bizarre. Don't knock it over. I'm doing a good job though, trying to stay professional. Give me Mike Evans then. Danny
already picked Mike Evans.
Oh,
No,
I'm sorry.
I was about to be like, Mike Evans? No, yeah, Danny already took Mike Evans.
I was like, who did I say?
Tony's gone too?
Tony's gone.
Galladay's gone?
Yeah.
God, how many people have we picked?
5.
5. Look at that.
This is a deep week too.
Yeah, so Fournette's gone. So now the main guys are gone. Man. Gronk. Gronk's going to play. Give me Gronk. He had a touchdown catch last year.
I like that pick.
All right, you got one more pick, though.
Give me... I guess I got to take Saquon, right?
You got it.
At this
I'm going
point...
to explain why I was really hoping that Saquon would have... I almost thought about taking Saquon with my last pick, so...
I should have taken Saquon first because pro-Giants. I didn't follow Bobby Skinner's formula there.
All right, so... Now, it's such a drop-off after the first 7, which I guess makes sense, but it's like... The first 7, you feel like each one of those guys could be the number 1. It's like Chris Godwin, Galladay, Evans, Gronk, Fournette, Tony, and Barkley. You can make a case for every single one of those guys at 1, except for maybe Gronk because he's coming off of injury. The next ones you can't. You know what? I'm gonna be smart. You know what? Evan Ingram's not gonna score a touchdown 3 weeks in a row. I'm going to go Slayton. I think I might be able to get the guy I was thinking about on the way back. But Slayton could have had a really big game versus Tampa last year, and Jones just missed him. So that they're going to be playing man, blitzing, safety, shading the safety over the top to Kenny Galladay, even though that's not an excuse not to throw to him. So I'm going to take Slayton. Danny, you got your last 2 picks.
Oh, thank God you didn't take Evan Ingram. Give me Evan Ingram. Rocking him. He got me a touchdown last week. Got rocking my boy Evan once more. Ain't nothing wrong with it. And then after that, who do I want to go with? You know what? I'm going to rock Tyler Johnson, the Bucs wide receiver. That's my other guy that I'm going to rock.
That's a Justin draft like guy.
Yep.
All right, the guy I was thinking about going with the last pick, Giovanni Bernard.
Interesting.
They use him as a receiver.
You crapped on him on Twitter whenever they played last, I believe.
When did we play Giovanni Bernard last?
Or at least when he played, I think last Sunday, he did something and you're like, how's Giovanni Bernard still? Or like he'll be cut soon or something like that because he made like a bad play.
Oh yeah, I think he had a drop that a big time. I don't know, but he had a bad play. Yeah, but I'm going Giovanni Bernard. I'm using him. All right, Justin, finish it off.
Do I have 2 picks left?
No, you have 1 pick left.
1 pick. Love it. Less decisions. Yikes.
Actually, it means more decisions because you can't pick 2 guys.
No, I want less decisions.
But it's not less decisions. It means you have to make more of a decision. If you had 2, you could just pick 2 players.
You know what? Basically, this is just the decisions between who has more fantasy points.
Mr. Brownstone is making a good point. At what point do we start taking King Penny?
Ooh.
And Booker's banged up.
Ooh. Oh, Justin, you might gotta.
I mean, Booker's still on the board, but it's like he might not even play.
You might gotta rock King Penny.
Nope.
There's solid picks left for the last pick in the draft.
I'm gonna rock with OJ Howard.
Okay.
What about Cam Brate?
Kenyon Brate. OJ Howard has more fantasy points, or at least he's done more consistently this season than OJ Howard.
But I think he might lose his role with Gronk. All right, that's fine. All right, to recap, Justin has Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Saquon Barkley, OJ Howard. I have Kenny Galladay, Leonard Fournette, Darius Slayton, and Giovanni Bernard. I'm kind of hating the Bernard pick now the more I think about it. I really need him to score a touchdown. And then Danny, Mike Evans, Kadarius Toney, Evan Ingram, and Tyler Johnson. All right, Giant Factors. Justin, you have the first pick this week.
All right. Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan, man. You're veteran. You're leading the NFL in tackles amongst players in the secondary. Tom Brady has thrown some interceptions the last couple weeks. He's getting really pissed at himself that he's been baited into some stuff or he's made some dumb decisions. So you got to be a playmaker, man. You love to talk about it all the time. You've been in those spots. You played with Brady. You've played against Brady for years. So you know him. Force a turnover this weekend. Be a Giant factor. Don't just talk about it, but go out there and be about it in Tampa against your old teammate. Logan Ryan, Giant factor.
I like it. He's probably going to be lined up on Gronk a good amount, too. Like, they're not going to be Bradbury on Gronk, so... Yeah, Logan Ryan be a Giant factor.
Legit my same. I was gonna take Logan Ryan. That was legit my same thing. It's like Tom Brady well in that wild card game. 2019? You picked it off to end his time in New England.
Ooh,
Get it
good
done.
little nugget. Good little nugget, Danny King. I'm
Little
sorry.
nugget?
I'm sorry I took your Giant factor.
Little nugget, man.
I'm going Saquon Barkley. Coming back from injury, and people are down on him right now, and kind of rightfully so. But kind of change the narrative a little bit. Like, okay, yeah, are they really good at stopping the run? Be a big time factor in the receiving game. They're gonna be blitzing. There's gonna be opportunities for you to be involved as a receiver. And when you do get those runs, turn them into something. You know, if it's a get a 4 or 5 yard gain type play, get it. If it's a play where you can break it big, break it. Make it like take advantage of every single opportunity that you have. Saquon Barkley, you're coming back. Reintroduce yourself. My name is Saquon. Saquon, be a Giant factor. Seriously, we need you. Like, we need Saquon to have a good game to win this game. You know, Yak's going to be a big part of this game. Get involved. I don't know how, but be a Giant factor, Saquon Barkley. Danny.
I'm going to return to the defense side of the ball. Azeez Ojulari. You cannot allow Tom Brady to be comfortable in that pocket all night. Because if he's comfortable and he's mad right now like he is, he's just going to pick this defense apart all night long, and it's not going to be a fun watch. This obviously the edge group is terrible. There's no one special here besides Azeez. He's got 6 sacks on the season. That's the rookie record, if I'm correct. He took BJ Hill's record.
He's at 5.5 right now, so they're tied.
5.5 right now? Yes, PFF, you're lying to me. I can't believe this. But Azeez Ojulari, get pressure on Tom Brady, make him uncomfortable in that pocket, make him force stupid throws, have him make another turn. Tom Brady's been turning over the ball. He's not been as safe with it as in years past. So Azeez, get the pressure. Beat this offensive line, take the Giants rookie sack record, be a Giant factor, be the reason we look back on Sunday and be like, or on Tuesday, I guess, technically, it'd be the reason why the Giants won this game.
Mikey gets so annoyed whenever people incorrectly say that BJ Hill is the rookie sack leader when Pro Football Reference actually went back.
Not true.
And they
Not
tracked.
official.
It's not official, but he gets so annoyed. He's so annoyed that he's licking my face right now. That's how annoyed he is.
Yeah, it has to be. BJ Hill and Azeez Ojulari are the Giants rookie sack leaders.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted BJ Hill to stay it. You know, obviously I wanted Azeez Ojulari to be better, but
Yeah.
it'd be funny if BJ Hill was the Giants rookie sack leader. Like
It's a
all these
disservice.
great pass rushers, like some of the greatest pass rushers in NFL history. Hall of
BJ
Famers,
Hill.
borderline Hall of Fame guys, and it's BJ Hill is the rookie sack leader.
Oh, I love it.
And if you want to make a bet on BJ Hill being the Bengals sack leader, football fans, who's ready to score some free bets?
Ooh.
Now you can win when you bet on any NFL game this week with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Not Naked Fat Ladies, the National Football League. New customers who bet just $1 on either team to score can win $100 in free bets. When a team scores, you score. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY. Bet $1 on either team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score. Promo code JOHNBOY this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You got Danny really good with the naked fat ladies.
Yeah, I was really
Do
confused.
kids still say that? Like, that was something
No.
like, you know, as kids, it was just a stupid joke we made. Like, NFL, naked fat ladies.
I forgot what league we do watch, and I just needed that reminder. Thank you very much.
All right, spread picks. A bad week for all of us. Listeners went 1-7 last week.
Oh,
They're
I
at
won.
They're 35 and 44.
Justin won. That's where we're at.
Danny, me and you both went 2-6. I'm at 40 and 39. So this is a big week. I want to stay over 5. Like, I want to win this again, like I did last year, but I really want to stay over 500. Danny, you are still 44 and 35, but you went 2-6, and then Justin won last week with 3-5. He's
Woo!
at 32 and 47.
3 and
Still in-
5.
Still in last
There we
place.
go.
So we're recording a little later, so Thursday Night Football is already in progress, but you guys all went Pats minus 6.5. I went Falcons plus 6.5. So we got 7 games left on this. Pats are up 3-0 at the end of the first quarter right now. All right. Colts at Bills minus 7. Danny, what do you got? Are they circling?
They're circling. I chalked up last week to not having these bad boys on when I didn't make the pick. So let me quickly get in the mode here.
But you went 3-5
as the Sharp is back. The Sharp is so back. As the Sharp's back, the wagons are circling like crazy right now. The Bills are going to win. They're going to demolish the Colts. Colts haven't played anyone legit in 2 weeks. Wagons circling hard, baby. The Bills are going to win.
The listeners went Colts +7. Justin, who are you agreeing with, the Danny or the listeners?
I'm agreeing with the listeners, so good for Danny. Colts +7. Bills' defense is really good, but the Bills just as a team, the NFL's wacky. NFL's been really, really wacky the last couple weeks, so maybe this is the get-right week for the NFL and the good teams, but give me Colts +7.
I'm going Bills -7. I feel like they want to come out and prove something. Packers at Vikings. Vikings +1.5. Listeners went Packers -1.5. And this is an easy one for me. Aaron Rodgers owns that fraud Kirk Cousins. And I am going Packers -1.5. Justin, who are you going?
Vikings +1.5.
Daniel.
Yeah, Rodgers got that toe injury or his toe injury, but he's still gonna win. I don't care. Packers by 1 trillion.
Washington at Carolina. Carolina -3.5 at home. We have this Cam Newton versus Ron Rivera. So you can say this is personal for both guys. Cam, came in a little bit of relief last week in some special packages. Had 2 touchdowns on 8 touches. The listeners are going Packers -3.5. Justin, who are you going?
Listeners are going Panthers -3.5.
Yep.
Okay, you said Packers.
No, I didn't.
Nope. Okay. I'm gonna go Washington.
That's one of the most annoying things in the world is when someone corrects, like you correct someone. I'm like, how are you gonna tell me what I said? It's like, because you weren't really thinking. You were saying it fast, and I heard you say it. I didn't make it up.
I just wanted to be clear for transparency.
No,
reasons.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying when other people like other people would be in my situation in there, and they would be like, how are you gonna tell me what I said? It's like, because I heard it, dumbass, and you weren't thinking when you said it. So yeah. Just kind of like a what really grinds my gears segment. Who are you going with in this one, Justin?
That was a very Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm type moment where you just.
That's a show I know I'd love, but I haven't watched.
I started watching it this week, so I that was one of my bye week activities. Washington +3.5.
I'm going Washington +3.5 too, because I think I think it's gonna be a close game. So if Washington loses, it'll be by 3. So Danny, you agreeing with me and Justin or the listeners?
I can't. I have to rock with Cam Newton this week against his former coach. He's coming, but he's gonna be so hyped. I just feel like Cam Newton, this offense is gonna start clicking now that they have a more capable quarterback than Sam Darnold.
True, but no one knows Cam Newton like Ron
The unknown
Rivera
that
does.
scares me right now. Yeah, that's the thing. Like last week, Matt Ryan, Dan Quinn dominated that game, and if there's anyone that knows Cam Newton better than Cam Newton, like you said, it is Ron Rivera.
I'm also
about
not
that
going to sit
storyline.
here. I'm also not going to sit here and act like Cam Newton is a massive upgrade over. This could be cold takes eventually.
No, he's not. He's not a good quarterback.
I'm not going to
anymore.
act like Cam Newton. Like you watch him, not counting the first 3 weeks, and I guess before he got COVID last year with the Patriots. I'm not going to sit here and act like Cam Newton's a massive upgrade over Sam Darnold. I'm not.
No, you shouldn't.
Sam Darnold's bad though.
But he's bad. Yeah, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
PJ Walker's honestly an upgrade over Sam Darnold. At this
PJ Walker, you're an idiot, Matt Rule, for making PJ Walker your backup QB.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Matt Rule, by the way, it was a big Matt Rule suckfest at the beginning of the season, and now it's kind of like he looks like a bad head coach right now. Like we talk about no vision and trying to winning while rebuilding. That's what the Panthers tried to do. Like they were supposed to be rebuilding, and then they go and sign Teddy Bridgewater, and then they trade a 2nd-round pick and pick up the option on Sam Darnold, and now they're picking up this anyways. Bengals at Raiders +1. Danny, who are you going?
This game is really tough. Obviously, the Giants beat the Raiders last week, but they did look terrible. Bengals are kind of on the down right now. I think this is.
Both teams are kind of not as hot as they were earlier in the season.
Raiders had the whole Henry Ruggs, the whole Damian Arnett situation. It's like, what's their mindset? I'm going to say that this is the Bengals get right week against the Raiders.
Listeners agreed with you. Justin, who are you going?
I'm going to agree with both of them. I'm not liking what I'm seeing from the Raiders.
I'm going Raiders, though. I just feel like they're going to win this game. They can't keep losing all these games in a row. So I'm going Raiders +1. Cowboys at Chiefs -2.5. This is easy. I think Cowboys are going to win this game. I think it's everyone's back like, oh, the Chiefs are totally back, and I don't think they are. I think a team like the Cowboys is kind of going to expose them a little bit. And, you know, the Cowboys' weakness right now is Tyron Smith is out. I don't know if he's out this week, but he's been out the past couple weeks. Well, the Chiefs' pass rush sucks, so they'll be able to operate offensively like they want to. I'm going Cowboys +2.5. I think there's going to be a lot of anti-Chiefs takes that come back after this game.
Yeah. They shouldn't. I mean, Cowboys are a really, really good team. Chiefs defense, they allow 15 to 19-yard plays at one of the highest rates in the National Football League. And Dallas, they don't really produce the plays at 20-plus yards, but you know, they're very, very good at moving the chains and throwing the ball kind of maybe near the chains, close to the chains, and getting those kind of intermediate gains. So give me Cowboys +2.5.
Mac Jones to Nelson Aguilar. Patriots up 10-0.
Where did the Pats go?
All right, listeners also went Cowboys, the listeners I feel like pick with the heart a little more, so I was actually surprised. Oh, Talzino is representing the listeners, by the way, this week.
Smart dude.
Danny, who are you going?
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs looked good against the Raiders last week, but that's the Raiders. These are the Cowboys who are quite good. I'm going to have to go to Cowboys as well. Dak Prescott's playing at a great level right now, and he could easily take advantage of this Steve Spagnuolo defense.
People would also say, though, like the Cowboys, they do this all the time. They start out super hot and then get kind of figured out, so we'll see. Like I guarantee we're going to get a comment saying that, and maybe we won't get it because I just called that comment out, but it is what it is. Cardinals at Seahawks +2.5. I'm guessing Kyler's coming back. Seahawks coming off of a shutout. Justin, who do you got in this one?
Kyler Murray limited at practice. 3 practices in a row he's been limited. I'm going to say that he's coming back since I think he was somewhat close to coming back last week. Give me the Cardinals. I hate the Seahawks this year. I flat out hate them. So give me the Cardinals.
I'm going Seahawks just because like Russell Wilson just got shut out. Like, come on, Russ, win this game. So I'm going Seahawks. Danny, who do you got?
Cardinals only lost last week because Colt McCoy got hurt. Only reason, don't look at the box score when he was playing. Impossible. Don't look at that. Kyler plays, they win. If Colt plays, they win. The Cardinals are going to win because the Seahawks are just not good right now.
Colt McCoy versus Seahawks. He owns them.
That is true. Oh, God. It's just... Oh, if he plays, it's over for them.
Listeners agreed with you guys, so it's me versus all of you guys.
Pretty sure Pete Carroll had another quote this week saying that they need to run the ball more, so...
But I feel like people got to stop taking Pete Carroll quotes serious. I think Pete Carroll kind of lies to the media a lot. Because, like, they don't run the ball a lot. Like, I've never seen a Seahawks game since, like, Marshawn Lynch where they ran the ball a lot. Steelers at Chargers. This is the only game I didn't have my pick written down. Chargers -6. The listeners went Steelers +6. Danny, who do you got?
This game, in the beginning of the year, it would have easily been Chargers, in my opinion. But now it's changed. The Chargers are definitely on the downward slope. Justin, there was a good article they put out on PFF. I hate calling them out, but like you should read it. It's very analytical about like what the Chargers are, how they're letting down Justin Herbert and his ability to attack downfield. I feel like you would like it. Did it talk about early down stuff? Is that still a problem for them? I believe it did. I can't say I was certain, but they talked about like average after target, all that fun stuff. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go with the Steelers +6. I think they're gonna at least keep it close. The Steelers are. Oh, is TJ Watt playing? Oh no. Got to make a last second decision.
I already wrote it down.
Oh, it's down.
It's locked in.
It's down.
Listeners went Steelers +6. I'm going Chargers -6. Justin, who are you going?
Yeah, I'm going... I think the Chargers are going to win, but that's a huge line, so Steelers +6.
All right, Danny, what is your score prediction for Monday Night Football, Giants at Bucs?
The Giants, obviously, they're 2-6. They're nothing special right now. That's not true. They're 3-6. They beat the Saints, the Panthers, and the Raiders. That's smart on me. I truly believe they could beat the Bucs. It's a problem. The Bucs are obviously having a bad few games, and Tom Brady's mad. But this just feels like a game the Giants can win. Be 4-6, be right there in the middle of that wild card race. The Giants are gonna win it. I think they will. I'm even gonna go even more crazy. The Giants are gonna break 30 points this week.
Wow.
I'm saying it. That's my prediction.
Whoa.
The Giants will break 30 points. The Giants will win 33-24.
Justin, make your pick.
I want the Giants to win badly. I also think that they can win as well. But me predicting them to lose today does not disrupt the journey to 9-8. Buccaneers 26, Giants 20.
You know what it is. Third year in a row, Daniel Jones versus Tom Brady on primetime football. Third year in a row. Third year in a row he played the Bucs. Some ups and downs in those games. 0-7 in prime time. It's a kind of a dumb storyline, but it is what it is. I will always go into a game when Tom Brady is the opposing quarterback feeling confident. I felt confident the morning of Super Bowl 42. I felt confident the morning of Super Bowl 46. Hell, I felt confident on Thursday Night Football 2 years ago with the team banged up. It's just something about his plastic surgery face that makes me a confident man. Monday Night Football, coming out party. Daniel Jones, you haven't won on primetime? Well, let's win on primetime. In Tampa, in Raymond James Stadium, with me there. Giants, listen, here's another stat. The Giants are undefeated with me in attendance. Some type of record's going to be broken this week. And it's going to be that stupid-ass primetime stat. Giants 77, Bucs 0. Fuck the world. Fuck the Bucs. Let's go Big Blue.